Do Hellstriders take victory in stride in times of torment? Perish the thought that I'm actually down on Hellstriders. I'm going to go into their strengths and weaknesses, but a good player using them well can get a lot done. Moreover, Dechala can do some specific things to completely supercharge them, and that's going to extend their uses even more. Let's stride in! Recruited for 675 gold and 167 upkeep, on Ultra Scale they arrive with 60 steeds and their riders, for 5,700 health. The unit arrives with 15 armor only, and shields that block 35% of small arms fire. The standard 5% physical resistance applies. Leadership starts at a mere 60. Speed 100 and charge speed 120 are top-tier figures and define much of the unit. What else defines it is a very light cavalry melee attack 24, but each and every attack inflicts poison, making it effectively tankier against whatever it fights in melee. Attack interval 4.7 seconds is not the best and is not the worst, just a little slow. No splash damage. Melee defense 26 isn't high, no. Weapon strength 30 is split base 20 and armor piercing 10, which isn't that bad a ratio, with a bonus versus large of 10. That good ratio instantly matters because we go from armor piercing 10 to 13 if it's rounded down. Melee attack 34 versus cavalry helps even in pitched combat. Charge bonus is 40 and mass is 650. Traits are Hide in Forest, Immunity to Psychology, Strider for 0 loss of speed in forest or up hills, Vanguard Deployment, as you might expect, Causes Fear, and Soul Hunters ramping up with kills and topping out at plus 10% charge bonus, plus 10% ward save, and plus 16 leadership. So, if they're active and get a lot done, they'll be much harder to rout late in the fight. What's not here? Devastating Flanker. But Dechala can use one of her marks of vindictiveness to grant not just that, not just charge speed, not just charge bonus flat, but magical attack. So, with Dechala, they get their best uses, but by no means are they bad as light cavalry. The Hellscourge's variant is treated as a more elite version apparently, priced 750 favor and 181 upkeep. A great many things are the same, but we go from the anti-large spears to big whips. Melee attack begins at 28, and poison was already here, so that's not an addition. Attack interval 4.6 seconds is a tenth of a second faster between animations. No splash. Melee defense begins at 34 or 8 better. That's a significant upgrade in that area. Weapon strength of 40 is a full 10 better, but we now have base 33 and armor piercing 7, a horrible ratio. There is also no bonus versus large present. Charge bonus is 40 again, and mass is 650 again. Traits are exactly the same. Now, what does this actually mean when hitting cavalry targets like pistoliers or centigores? Well, on a full charge, as in the first hit from one, charge bonus 40 is actually superior to the Spears version's weapon strength, but the bonus versus large drags things up to parity. So we get 26.6 rounded up for sure to 27 armor-piercing damage, and therefore base 53 damage in turn. The very fact this is inflicting 27 armor piercing on the first hit of a charge, and somewhat less, but still significantly 4.7 seconds later after the stab animation ends, means the potential to put hurt into order-tied armored options like Silver Helms or Empire Knights, not to mention charge bonus 40 goes straight to melee attack for that first hit. However, I do show the Hellstriders with spears taking on Silver Helms in this video, and it doesn't go well for them because that was taking them from the front, which is just not going to go well for light cavalry. So, attack from the flank and rear whenever possible, devastating flanker or not. With Hellscourges, an identical charge is simply doubling weapon strength, so we get base 66 and armor piercing 14 damage. We are still discussing cavalry enemies, but the Hellscourges will inflict this damage to infantry too, no variation. So, cavalry are better protected the more armored they are, and 14 AP isn't nothing, but it's going to feel pathetic compared. Thus, the Hellscourges are far better as general melee cavalry despite being light cavalry by design, and are better against infantry broadly speaking. I'm explaining this because some people will argue that the Spears version literally do not have a purpose. This is completely false, and while the Hell Scourges have distinct advantages, in pure anti-cavalry combat, the Spears are better, though you want to abuse those charges. And obviously those Dechala buffs I mentioned are a big deal, but those are like RPG consumables for those ones. We'll come back to her. In the Redline skills, it's once again a tale of two types of lords. Mortal Lord use hammer into anvil, and here it's particularly fascinating. 3 pips gets you melee defense plus 8 and charge bonus plus 12. The charge bonus is pure gravy. Defense is relevant to surviving, staying in combat after the charge, but it means you are even more reliant on charges for your offense. But that isn't a bad thing. For rank 7 and above, speed and ballast bring speed plus 10%, melee attack plus 5, and missile resistance plus 15%. That's certainly malice towards arrows. For Demonic Lords, and Dechala counts as demonic for redline purposes, Hellish Stride is used for them just like for Devoted Marauders. That means at 3 pips, armor plus 8, and speed plus 8%. Being already up to speed 108 is pretty stunning, and armor plus 8 is raising that by a hair over 50%, but there's no help for the damage stats. It's indirect buffs, powerful ones, but still. Well, now you see how Dechala was designed to abuse her special buffs. For rank 7 and above, Connoisseurs of Delight brings leadership plus 5, melee attack plus 7, and missile resistance plus 15%. The melee attack supercharges them. In the tech tree for main Slaanesh, Slaanesh Fighters offers plus 6 leadership and is most certainly needed. Instantly leaving the infantry behind, Soul Hunters, the tech, offers charge bonus plus 12 flat by itself. That's incredibly valuable. Riders of Hell provides weapon strength plus 10% across the board. It's a good idea to fight your way to Champions of Anguish, offering bonus versus infantry plus 5 and fatigue buildup minus 20% for all non-demonic cavalry, including this one. That helps make both variants a lot more effective against infantry since neither start with even melee attack 30 in pitched combat. Mortal Obsession reduces upkeep by 10% and shaves 1 turn from global recruitment, and both are 1-turn local recruit units. Besides Dekhala's Marks of Vindictiveness, which get their own separate video sometime, her faction effects give Hellstriders plus 10% physical resistance, raising them to 15%, just like she does for Devoted Marauders. Unlike them, she offers Hellstriders no upkeep reduction. In her personal army, she would grant them plus 10% weapon strength like all other mortal units, and that's not small. The other personal stuff applying are eroding poison from her Tainted Cup skill, which replaces their regular poison, meaning they need some new source of regular poison to double up. The small damage over time is still a nice thing. The other direct combat thing is the Wages of Sin, slapping on immunity to contact effects for them, and there's a lot of those in the game, like Dazed, Blinded, Poison, and melee attack and defense plus 6 each for the Hellstriders. That's a lot of improvement since those values start relatively low. So ignoring the special Dechala stuff, where does that leave us? Well, with a Mortal Lord speccing into the early redline stuff, we get Spears Hellstriders with weapon strength 33 and charge bonus 64. Since it's a 2-to-1 base to AP ratio, that's originally 10 AP, turning into 32 armor piercing rounded down, with base 65 damage besides. That's going to take a bite out of Reiksguard, and even some out of Grail Knights. And this is also why I place such a high premium on giving them Devastating Flanker if that is possible. So how do we use Hellstriders, both variants? I've already gone through a lot of it, but let's expand our horizons a little further still. The Spears version is an early game tool for clearing the field of enemy cavalry, but is far better at it against light cavalry, particularly missile skirmishers like Pistoliers or Outriders. Even with 360-degree fire, Pistoliers lack the speed and would be firing into shields to escape or meaningfully damage Hellstriders before being overtaken and destroyed. In that case, the Hell Scourges would do quite well too due to low armor, but even Empire Knights would feel a full charge in the flank, which is preferable to taking a full frontal charge from them in turn. Any way you slice it, they do not want to fight fair. They want to barrel into archer lines, slaughter archers and gunners, and hit engaged lines from the back, not because they have special bonuses necessarily, but out of sheer need for survival. Now, artillery? Food. Isolated low armor mounted forces? Food. But around this point, we start hitting the limits. Hellstriders are important units, not invincible units. They will accumulate damage and eventually simply wear out like last season's tires. Your Marauders will often recover much better, and you'll feel you're working with thin margins with the Hellstriders, but that's life in the fast lane. Keep in mind the strengths and weaknesses of each variant, use the spears against everything large and armored, and hopefully mixing them with other forces gets you to the desired destination. There are other tricks you can use, but I wouldn't call them distinct from other Slaanesh cavalry. Without such tricks, we come down to a very simple conclusion. This is a very high level of default speed and charge speed, and you need to abuse that to the fullest extent, or you are wasting this unit's strengths. Take care and have fun skimming the line between bravado and recklessness. If you're going to learn the art of light cavalry, it's hard to find anything better, in particular in the sub 200 upkeep range.